여러분 안녕하세요. 대한민국 영어 감잡기 프로젝트 데미안과 함께하는 너쉬영북 시간입니다. 이번 시간은 14강 리딩입니다. 44쪽 첫 번째 줄부터입니다. Yes, he said nonchalantly before going away. Before I forget it, you might bring your sister along the next time. The older one. What's her name? I failed to get his point and made no reply. I only looked at him, surprised. Don't you understand? You are to bring your sister. No, Cromer, that's impossible. I wouldn't be allowed to, and she wouldn't come in any case. I was prepared for this new ruse or pretext of his. He did this often, demanded something impossible, frightened and humiliated me, then gradually offered some bargain as a way out. And I had to buy myself off with some money or a gift. This time, however, it was altogether different. My refusal did not seem to make him angry at all. Well, anyway, he said in a matter-of-fact tone, think it over. I'd like to meet your sister. We'll find a way one of these days. You could simply take her along on a walk, and then I could join you. I'll give you a whistle tomorrow, then we can talk about it some more. After he had left, something of the nature of his request suddenly dawned on me. I was still quite ignorant in these matters, but I knew from hearsay that boys and girls, when they grew older, were able to do certain mysterious, repulsive, forbidden things together. And now I was supposed to... It suddenly flashed on me how monstrous his request was. I knew at once that I would never do it, but what would happen then? What revenge would Cromer take on me? I didn't dare think of it. This was the beginning of a new torture for me. Inconsolable, I walked across the desolate square, hands in my pockets. Further and greater agonies awaited me. Suddenly, a vigorous, cheerful voice called me. I was startled and began to flee. Someone ran after me. A hand grasped me gently from behind. It was Max Demian. Oh, it's you, I said mistrustfully. You gave me a terrible shock. He looked down at me, and never had his look been more adult, superior, the look of someone who could see through me. We had not spoken to each other for a long time. I feel sorry for you, he said in his polite yet decisive manner. Listen, you can't let yourself be frightened like that. Well, one can't always help it. So it seems, but look, if you practically go to pieces in front of someone who hasn't done you any harm, then that person begins to think. He's surprised, he becomes inquisitive, he thinks you are remarkably high-strung, and reaches the conclusion that people are always like that when they are deathly afraid. Cowards are constantly afraid, but you are not a coward, are you? Certainly, you are no hero either. There are some things you are afraid of, and some people too. And that should never be. You should never be afraid of a man. You aren't afraid of me, or are you? Oh, no, not at all. Exactly. But there are people you are frightened of. I don't know. Why don't you let me be? He kept the pace with me. I had quickened my steps with the thoughts of escaping, and I felt him glancing at me from the side. Let's assume, he began again, that I don't mean to do you any harm. At any rate, you've no need to be afraid of me. I'd like to try out an experiment on you. It might be fun, and you might even learn something from it. Now, pay attention. You see, I sometimes practice an art known as thought reading. There's no black magic about it, but if you don't know how it's done, it can seem very uncanny. You can shock people with it too. Now, let's give it a try. Well, I like you, or I'm interested in you and would like to discover what goes on inside you. I've already taken the initial step in that direction. I've frightened you. So that you are nervous. There must be things and people that you are afraid of. If you are afraid of someone, the most likely reason is that this someone has something on you. For example, you've done something wrong and the other person knows it. He has a hold on you. You get it? Very clear, isn't it? I looked up helplessly at his face, which was as serious and intelligent as ever, and kind, yet its detached severity lacked tenderness. Impartiality or something similar was visible in it. I was hardly aware of what was happening to me. He stood before me like a magician. Have you got it? He asked once more. I nodded, unable to speak. I told you reading other people's thoughts seems strange, but it's perfectly natural. For instance, I could tell you almost exactly what you thought about me the time I told you the story of Cain and Abel. Well, this isn't the time to talk of that. I also think it possible that you dreamed about me once. But let's put that aside too. 오늘 읽기는 여기까지입니다. 오늘 영상이 여러분이 영어의 감을 잡는 데 도움이 되었다면 구독, 좋아요로 알려주세요. 더 좋은 영상을 만드는 데 큰 힘이 될 것입니다. 감사합니다.